What's up, everybody? It is Matt from Electric All Wheel. I have a can of Diet Mountain Dew here. This is my coffee, and I wanted to tell you a little story. So it is early in the morning, and today the XPeak 2.0 videos are supposed to be coming out for Lectric. So it looks like most of the big name YouTubers and the content creators set a premiere time for their videos, and so my phone was just going nuts with notifications because Electric All Wheel got invited to go to Arizona for Media Day with all of the YouTube influencers to test out the Lectric Expedition 2.0 and the Lectric XPeak 2.0. It was a very surreal invite, first of all. When Christian sent the email, spent a lot of time tracking whether or not it was real. Really looked him up, stalked him on LinkedIn just to make sure that it was the real deal. And ecstatically it was, and super happy that we got the invite to go. At that time, and you guys need to know that we had Tropical Storm Debbie, and then Hurricane Helene, and then right after that was the trip to Arizona, and then following that was Hurricane Milton. And so my my birthday was on the day of Hurricane Milton, and life has been a blur ever since. And I felt horrible because I didn't really recognize it. One, I was just fanboying out as soon as I got there because all of the big name YouTubers were there. Yeah, Mike Feedy, you have Freshly Charged, Maximum Charge, the Miss Electric Go, Miss Electric Go. I messed that up when I actually introduced myself to her. E-bike products. You had Area 13, Bolton. Bolton was there. I have a selfie with him. It was awesome. I couldn't believe that I was meeting all of these people, and the two characters that I met that influenced a lot of what you're going to see in this video is Ben from the Bike Cave and Mike from Run Bike Mike. And I made a mistake, but let me get back to this. So got up super early in the morning. We flew out to Phoenix, and I got there, I think, earlier. And Chris from Chris Crossed said, you know, come out, go to lunch. It won't be a problem, and you can meet all these people. So I met the first cycle of YouTubers. So David, brand new, was there, and that was, you know, some of these things you can't fathom how it feels. It's just being a big fanboy and geeking out to the idea that I'm rubbing elbows with these, and Electric All Wheel is sub 10,000 subscribers, so we had, in my mind, no business being there. But Tim said that Christian has a penchant for picking out uh, people that would be good for making this style of content. So Christian, I really appreciate your confidence in us. I have not been the consummate reviewer of e-bikes. It's always been a scenario where I break into these e-bikes because I just want to tinker and take them apart and do the dual battery stuff and go that way. And that's been more or less the content for the channel. And now, after having been there, it just changed everything. So it made me realize how horrible the production value is that we have, and what we can do better, and all of those things that I need to concentrate on, and that I honestly, I feel like I squandered my time. It could have been so much more, but I had such a wonderful, awesome, amazing experience. And I just wanted to share it with you. What's happening today, why I got up so early today is that the notifications were popping off for all of the YouTube content creators that I subscribed to while I was there after meeting them, and everybody's publishing their XPeak 2.0 videos. We didn't get to ride the Expedition 2.0 because on day one of the second set, all of the Expedition videos were out. So what do? I go sit with the technician that was there from Lectric. His name is Maurice, and he was awesome. And neither one of us, of course, had been into the bikes. So we decided we're just going to take apart the XPeak 2.0. So we sit on the floor of the hotel conference room and just pull apart the XPeak 2.0, and I was in heaven. So all right, Maurice, you got it. You're the one that installed it. What did you think?
It's pretty cool. So you have to take all these screws out. Once you take those screws out, you kind of got to shimmy it out a little bit. Once you shimmy it out, you have access to the controller, cut a couple zip ties, unplug everything, and pull it out. It's definitely different than all our other models, I can tell you that. So,
One thing I'm seeing right now is that the charging port is actually plugged in, so it's attached to the frame. So you can charge separately the battery, but this has the XT30, I think that's what that's called, and that runs through the pins on the battery mount. So your charging happens through the frame of the bike, and it backfeeds into the discharge of the battery.
so current is 24 amps.
24 max, 24.
That
Is
is
it plus or
correct.
minus one, or is it
Just 24
straight
amps.
24?
Straight
So
24.
fine.
Yep, you can see it.
So it's 48, 24 max current, 120 phase, and then you have the XT60 for the power input. Single piece plate, and then locking mechanism at the top, and then press button release for the battery. Matty Ice, I see what you're doing, bro. I know this is you. I really appreciate you taking this out for me. It's nice to see it. It's interesting to see like 7-pin connection for the bottom of the battery plate. That's definitely new. And this is the first time that Lectric has ever run the charge through the pin connector for the battery.
That is correct. It's a lot different than our other controllers, I can tell you that.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming it's just a programming cable.
That is correct.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that is correct.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Maurice, you're the man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. A large majority of the day was lost because of the heat. The heat was so intense during this time. It was plus 110, I think 117 is what the peak temperature was that we saw when we were there. And I thought that I was a person that could handle it. I've lived in Texas, we live in Florida now, and got the humidity and all this stuff, but that was just absolutely insane. It's like opening the oven right when some mom's baking something and you feel that rush of heat. That's what it was like all day out in Arizona. Wouldn't change a thing. Definitely would go back if they told me it was going to be even more hot, but man, oh man, was that insane. So that's day one. We go in, we strip this thing down. We got to meet all of the major players for Lectric. Got to sit next to Robbie for dinner. Got to talk to Levi. It was such a surreal experience to be around all of these people that just know more and have had more experience in the industry, and they're pushing through and breaking the mold for the way it should be. And all I can ask, Christian, is please let us come back. Please.
I just want to say thank you guys for all coming out.
Thanks for having us.
It's really awesome to kind of bring all you guys in. A lot of you guys, like I said, I haven't met yet. We haven't worked with you yet, and so we're just excited to share who Lectric is.
So anyway, the first night was dinner, and I believe we're in the hotel lobby, and Ben and Mike are talking, and I'm talking with them, and they're like, "Oh, we should meet up and go ride." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do that." I had no idea how into mountain biking they were, and thus it begins. So we get up super early, and we go down, and we pick up the bikes. Um, and we have, it's the XPeak 2.0 high steps. Now I get a chance to look at the XPeak step through. Of course they say that we can't ride it, so that's the very first bike that I want to get my hands on is the XPeak step through. And so I do, they let me take it out and I just kind of go over. I don't ride it, but I go over the bike and I have a look, and I'll put some of these clips here so you can see what was going on. Lectric let me have the only model of the XPeak 2.0. And this bike is off the chain from the first version. They have really done some great upgrades to the system on this thing, including the batteries. One thing, they said, I can't ride it. And that's because it is the only version that they have right now. So I'm privileged enough to have it in my hands, but I have to respect their wishes. But we are going to comb over it as best we can right now. So you can see the different decal patterns that they have. And this has been pretty continuous throughout all of the models, especially the 3.0s, the distinctive decals for each of the different models. And you can see what they've done for the XPeak 2.0. They've pretty much change the body into a square mold, and that is definitely, I'm sure, to accommodate the increased size for the increased capacity of the battery. And that's a 48 volt 20 amp hour battery that is in this bike. Now we're still looking at a 750 watt rear hub on 26x4s. And the very first thing I wanted to know is, what is the total tooth count on this crank? And it's 46. I honestly would be looking for something a little bit more on that front, but they have reduced the tooth count here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 seems to be the bottom of the barrel for your cassette freewheel range. So 46 over 11 for your low gear. But what you will know is they've changed to an 8-speed Shimano, and it's on a trigger shift right hand side. What does this mean for your General Electric rider? It means that the throttle is now on the left hand side, and they have moved heavily into the horizontal throttle, which you guys know that's not my favorite, but it's still worthwhile, and it accommodates this upgrade in the shifters for the 2.0. Now you're seeing this a lot. You have the pinion on the Lectric 1, and it too has the shifter on the right hand side and throttle on the left. So that's something to keep in mind if this is a bike that you're looking to get into. Look at the size of this headlight. This thing is massive and puts off a pretty broad swipe for light when it is dark outside. You do have the RST Renegade front fork with hydraulic brakes and 203 millimeter discs, which is good. You have the quick release through axle. I don't know actually if this is quick release. I would imagine that they're moving into that threaded version, so this is not quick, but it is an accommodating release for the front. You'll see that that's a solid structure. There is no dropout on that bad boy. The frame is not integrated like you see on the XPeak 3.0, but it's still sturdy when you're looking at the rack. So the rack is not integrated to the frame, but still sturdy. It looks like these are M6 screws that are running on there. But what you will notice is they have helped with the attachment of the fenders. So there's right here on the back side of the rack, and then you have another one right here on the inside of the frame, and then you have the attachments on the outside. So that's really adding some durability to that rear rack, and we like it. Kickstand is as expected. We aren't seeing anything spectacular. Just we want it to hold up, and we want it to hold up to the weight. So that is good. We are pleased with that. And also you can roll the bike backward and there's enough pedal clearance so that you don't have to worry about getting bound up into the kickstand. And that was a thing for a lot of the earlier models on these bikes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this battery out, and it's a press button here and it comes out the bottom, so you have to do that awkward front wheel turn and get it just perfect so you can get the battery out. But before I do that, I wanted to share with you, I think this charging port, which is now looking more like the aerial rider Lectric style, where they're looking to really isolate themselves and get a proprietary connector in there, it's separate. So this doesn't plug right into the battery itself. It is part of the bike, and then the leads charge the battery through the pins inside the frame. So let me take this out real quick and then I'll come back and show you. Right, here's that charging port, and you can see that there's nothing here that is connecting to the battery except for the pins, which means that this charging port is going to be running back charge to the battery through the pin plate for contact and power, which will be on the bottom side of this battery. And I noticed this when I started looking, and you could see that there was this charging port here on the battery, and it is the same 3-pin connector that is here, but typically what you see is there's some sort of through hole, and the charger would plug straight into the battery, and that is not the case here. So I can tell that they are really trying to isolate and get some proprietary mechanisms, probably for safety and legal reasons, on this newer battery. This is a 48 volt 20 amp hour battery. 48 volt 20 amp hours, and it is a hefty battery. You can see how the frame needed to be changed in its dimensional sizing so that it would accommodate such a thing. We do like when we have the addition of bottle cage mounts in other positions rather than just the traditional 2 screws on the body, and it's really convenient when you need to add other accessories. I'm also seeing this cable guide running up on the backside. I'm not sure what this is for. Perhaps it was the original line for the rear light, but it looks like it's going unused now, so we'll see. Let's go ahead and get this thing turned on, and then straight into settings, hitting the plus and minus, and you're back to that old familiar feeling. They kept the P pattern for the settings and their callouts, so that is good. P08 has been the most popular for the Lectric community, and you can see that it's set to 45, which is your max kilometers per hour, and there's 32, which is 20 miles an hour. You can see the trigger shift, gear shift, which is that 8-speed Shimano, and then the grips are actually, you can actually tighten them down. So we like that. There's not the friction grips that you see across a lot of the models. And then, of course, they have the hydraulic disc brakes with those 203 millimeter discs. So we are pleased with that. I'm sitting here looking at the forks, and these things are beefy and really nice. And they have preload settings for them, and then you can actually run lockout on them as well. This is important when you guys rack these bikes on the back. You need to lock these things so the bike doesn't compress and then come out from your rack if you have anything on a tension fit. And that's good, right? It's nice to be on a brand bike where you know the controls generally, so when you walk up and you touch it, you know specifically what you're looking for. Like, for instance, holding the plus button for like 3 seconds will turn on and off your headlight. And that's just something I know from being on so many Lectric bikes. And let's look again, it's on, and you'll see that the tail light is on too. So good for them. This bike looks pretty beefy, and it is a definite upgrade. One thing I did want to mention is that it does have the removable pedals, which is a really quality add. We are overall pretty impressed with what they've got going on here with the XPeak 2.0 and can't wait to get it ride. I believe in the step-through frame. I am no longer in between that male-female comparison. Step through is where it's at, unless you're adding dual battery. The lighter frame in terms of color comes with the step through, and then it's going to be a darker color for the high step on the bike. When I look at the cables, they have actually run them up, so it looks like there'll be enough cable length to actually get an extension if you want to bring yourself more upright in posture so that you can sit with your back straight. And you know that we are going to be adding a suspension seat post to this bike. When I get it, yes, we appreciate the Chow Yangs. They're a proven brand, but we're probably going to put some Allscapes on this thing so it looks good. And then maybe see about getting a higher tooth count on the crank so that we can run up in the higher speeds, so we can eliminate more ghost pedaling as we move into the higher speeds on the bike. Once again, Lectric has done it for themselves and they have produced a quality product. Anyway, we come back to that morning and we get ready, get everything set. I chest cam up. I'm feeling all proud of myself because I finally got some. I have an action camera that's worth a damn. And off we go to this place called Dreamy Drop, and thus it begins. I have never been mountain biking. It's not been my forte, and it's not really something you can do here in Florida. We do have Alafaya, and I have yet to go out there. But even still, I don't think that I would take a bike like the XPeak 2.0. However, that's what we did. And man, man, oh man, did we tear it up. A purple, Mojave's just a blue. Right? And then it was my first time ever riding like that, and I can tell you that I felt like I was going to die at least 4 or 5 times. There were 2 decision points where I smashed into a tree, and I know that Mike was behind me and he caught it on camera, so hopefully you guys are going to see this. I hope they don't edit this out and they put it out there, because it was choice, death or tree, and I chose tree twice. Holy shit! Twice, bro! One of them, I had a branch that just injected itself like a needle straight into my arm and broke off, and then there was like a little piece, like less than an inch, that stayed in there, and I was like, Ben, hold my phone.
Didn't fall.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't see it.
But I was so pumped up with adrenaline that it was like, okay, let's go. And off we go again. Some of the craziest riding I've ever done, sliding downhill, putting my butt over the rear rack just so that I can stay on the XPeak, which, by the way, handled it. The XPeak 2.0 handled that style of riding, and I know those two guys put those bikes through the paces, so much so that Ben destroyed. He destroyed one of the rear motors, or the rear hub for the XPeak 2.0. We were going downhill coming around a bend, and it was blind because of the tree. And as he goes around, I guess he hops the front end of it. Mike comes through and he gets up and over the whole thing, and and Ben gets his front end over, and then the rear just smashes into this vertical 2 foot, the top of this rock, and just caves in the rim, the rear hub of this bike.
Oh, yeah. It'll be fun, they said. Did you just pop right up over that? Yeah, yeah. See?
No one has a pump, huh? Big. Flat. Like, look at this thing.
Jeez.
Oh, the rim.
Well, I come around the corner and it's just all brakes, all locked, and I'm just like, oh my God, right? So I get off the bike, I pick it up over the rock, I ride forward, and Ben's just sitting there with the flat, and he's like, oh, we're all done. And I take my opportunity. I'm like, you know what? I volunteer as tribute. You can take my bike. I'll call them. I'm going to ride back. I'll go get everything sorted and meet up with them. And then you can take my bike to finish out your videos, because I am clearly outclassed and outmanned in this scenario. And so that's what happens. Alex and Christian show up. They, I think, whose car? We're in Alex's Tacoma, and we need the truck so we can carry the bikes. And we're going back. They let me sit up front because I think I'm the tallest out of the crew that's in the truck at that time. So thank you, Christian. I appreciate that. And then we get back right when we get to the parking lot. I'm like, Alex, you've got to let me out of this car. And he looks at me. He's like, are you joking? You're not joking. I'm like, no, I'm not joking. Let me out now. And I go and I run behind this bush and I Ralph all over the bush, because what I recognize now is it's just that release of adrenaline. It was super hot, but more than anything, I was so amped up because of the riding style. I'd never done anything like that. So I meet up with Mike and Ben later, and I tell them what happened, and they're like, yeah, that sounds about right. And I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? How can this can't be right? Like, this is insane. But it turns out that, yeah, I was just so amped up on adrenaline from riding Dreamy Drop on the XPeak 2.0 that I had to, my body just said no more. And that's the way it went. I never got to really test out and ride the Expedition, but what did happen was I got on the Lectric 1, and they never should have let me on that bike because I found my new favorite toy. Now, if I was to pick a bike that could cross generations and satisfy so many different sectors, except for mountain biking, because oh my gosh, it's going to be the Lectric 1. But if you want a full-size 26x4 fat tire in the step-through or high-step version, Lectric has made the necessary improvements for that bike to be a quality investment to add to your e-bike stable or to have as your primary ride. It was so awesome. 20 amp hour battery, 750 watt rear hub. They fixed all the issues from the previous version. They listened to the customer feedback and they got it right. And I cannot express to you how awesome this trip was for me to experience, to be privileged enough to be invited by the crew from Lectric. So to Tim, Christian, Alex, Robbie, Levi, Matt, you too, love you, my man. I know where it's headed. Thank you guys so much for allowing myself as Electric All Wheel to be there in mixed company with some of the best YouTube influencers around. I've made friends, permanent friends with these guys. I've had conversations with Mike and Ben and Alex from Maximum Charge.
This thing is like indestructible. I mean, all of us have been trying to like beat these bikes up for what, going on 2 days now. Fine, no overheating even yesterday. Yeah, although this guy might break it.
Tim, what's up, chitheads? What's going on, my man?
Those bigger ones. Now, how do you like it?
I like it.
Good.
Wait, don't move,
No
don't
way.
move. Oh.
Don't move. Those things don't stink. Those are aggressive. Whoa. Electric.
That's wild.
Where is he? There we go. He's like getting right up on your logo.
Good. Are those carpenter bees? I remember them being all those too.
I lived in Atlanta for 5 years and we got carpenter bees, and you can go out and you can whack them with a badminton.
Yeah.
Russ is right was there. My gosh, like all of these people that you never really realize that you just view them as they're on TV. David Brand New, Electrified with Latina was there. Miss Electric Go, Miss Go Electric, Electric Go, Go Electric. She gave me her card, and they corrected me the last time I did this, so please don't tell her I said that. Who else was there? There were some big name RVers too. Like it was different. And Bolton, Area 13, like Mecca, right? I've always wanted to meet him. He's got some awesome stuff. Blackbird, give me some of that. Give me that bike for sure. Chris Russell, my man, thank you very much for being so kind to us. I really appreciate your friendship, and I look forward to meeting up with all of you again, and everyone from Lectric, everyone in that customer service room, everyone from the day we went to headquarters and got to witness the unveiling.
Yeah, that's what we do here. We play for banners. And I want this building to be full of banners.
I really, really appreciate you, and I'm envious of you because you all seem so unbelievably happy to be there working in that place, and that gives me the confidence to know that I need to be better. I need to make better videos and produce better reviews to put that out there to help grow the Lectric brand. And so what I'll say to you is, if you want to check out a 26x4 fat tire, a quality e-bike at a price you can't beat, check out the Lectric XPeak 2.0. We'll leave links for this in the video description below. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out E-Bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event, go for a ride with your friends. If I'm going to advise you anything else, check out the Lectric brand. If you're in Arizona, see if you can head over to headquarters. It's just an unreal experience. They're real life people. They're great people. And I'm so super privileged to have been there. Please, Christian, let us come back. We'll talk to you next time.